Welcome to the Mini to Mogul Online Virtual Summit, your blueprint to launching your business. I'm your host, Nselaa Ward, and today we are with Miss Sigrun. Now, if you have not heard of Miss Sigrun, let me give you a little bit of information about her. This woman is fabulous and she is international. She's actually housed in Iceland right now. So, Sigrun is the founder and CEO of the Sigrun GmbH company that focuses on helping female entrepreneurs turn their passions into profits. She has combined her unique background in business, information technology, architecture, and personal development to offer result-driven online programs and high-impact coaching. Now, Sigrun holds actually 4 master's degrees in architecture from the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, computer-aided architectural design from the Zurich, which is the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, software engineering from the University of Iceland, and an MBA from London Business School. So this woman is actually the know-all when it comes to technology and business. She's actually Icelandic in origin, but she's a global citizen by heart, and she spends time between Zurich, Switzerland, and Iceland while traveling around the world. So right now, we have the benefit and the honor of having her at the Mini to Mogul Virtual Online Summit, and I want you guys to welcome her. Miss Mighty Mogul, how are you? I'm so excited that you're here.
Hi, I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for that introduction.
Oh my God, you are so amazing. Now, your background actually originally started as a software engineer and in architecture. How did you get into online coaching?
So I always knew I wanted to combine art and science somehow. So when I was looking for something to study, architecture seemed like the obvious thing I could do. It was a mixture of making the house stand, that it doesn't fall apart, and the design of the house itself and the interior. And the study was fantastic. I enjoyed it a lot. I really love studying. But then I tried working as an architect in the summer holidays, and I realized this was not the thing. This was not exciting enough. There are no particular changes in housing, or at least they're very, very slow. And then the internet came along, just as about to discover that this wasn't my thing. And I said, that's my thing. And I started to create my own website. This is back in '95. And I created my first website from scratch. We didn't have any tools to create websites like we have today. And I started to move my architecture studies into 3D. So my final thesis was a 3D multi-user campus where you could walk around and create seminar rooms. This is back in '98, '99. And one thing led to another, and suddenly I was studying, computer science, and left the architecture completely behind. And since I had been studying already several years, I decided to work full-time and do the studying on the side. So I started to work in a software company, and one thing led to another. It was a very volatile time, the dot-com boom, where most software companies hired too many engineers, and many of them couldn't even program, and everything crashed. So I lost my job like many other people, but I was able to get another job in a little website company, a website agency that had their own, website system. And one thing led to another, and suddenly I was the CEO of that company without having any business experience or business education. And the company had been in the red for 7 years, and in 11 months I turned it around. And I fell in love with business completely. I knew this was the thing, and the combination of business and online technology was just perfect for me. And I stayed in that industry for a while, and I kind of led different companies working on turnarounds, all in technology, but I was always the CEO for 10 years. And then I got sick, and I was not able to work for 7 months because of pain, RSI, repetitive strain injury. And this led me to rethink a bit how I want to live my life, how I want to earn my money. And that's where I got the idea to start my own business finally. Of course, I had been thinking about it for a long time, but this was what I needed to get sick. This was where I reassessed everything in my life. And I realized I also want to be able to live, be location independent. And I was thinking, what's my business idea? And I was kind of avoiding the business consulting, business coaching, even though it's kind of obvious in hindsight that this was my passion and this was what I was already good at. I was always looking for something else, and then it hit me one day. It's like, okay, it's right in front of me, and I'm just not seeing it. I was already certified as a Dale Carnegie trainer as well, so also in terms of personal development, I had also, the knowledge and the education. And I just put a button on my website one day, 1 hour business coaching, and the first person bought in March 2014.
That's amazing. Oh my God. So you indicated that when you were previously in architecture, that it wasn't as exciting for you. So tell me some of the things that you think are the most exciting about being a coach.
I love seeing people kind of wake up to their own potential. You know, they have an idea. They come to me normally when they come to me in three stages. Sometimes they don't have a business idea, and I have a wonderful little program for them called Passionathon, where they can figure it all out. But I would say most of my clients come when they already have a business idea, they've already started, but what's next? Like, how do they, get to the next level? And then I have the third group where they are, aiming for the six figures, but they're not there yet. And then I have even the fourth group, and these are people who already have achieved six figures and now going for multiple six figure, and that's my VIP program. And what I love in each of these groups, with each of these people, is basically to get them over their own mindset. It's in the end the mindset thing. I, of course, with my background in technology and all my experience with websites, it's kind of to me, an easy thing to help them with their online technology, and that's what people often think they need help with. Then they realize at some point they need help with business strategy and some tactics, especially around launching, which is a lot of what I do with my clients, launching and sales funnels. But ultimately, what most people need help with, and they realize this sooner or later, is mindset. It's if they really kind of believe they can do it, they can. They will figure out the resources, they will figure out how to get help, and they will get that thing done. If you believe you cannot do something, you will not even ask for help. You will not even hire a coach. You will not join a program. You will not invest in yourself. And that will keep you back, and you will not move forward. So seeing those breakthroughs with people when they suddenly realize what they're capable of, that's wonderful to see. And it's probably what is the most rewarding about being a business coach.
Gotcha. So you have this just off the chart program that is called How to Build a Six-Figure Online Program. Tell us about that program and how it works.
So this is basically a part of my mastermind groups. So the key thing I do with my clients, I used to work one-on-one. I do that rarely anymore. It's just a capacity thing. And I was thinking, how can I serve my clients even better? And I started to run group programs. And now I have 3 levels of group programs. And inside that group program, I go through a structure. I go through a curriculum. It's almost like a university or school because it's 12 months long. And we go through vision, strategy, budgeting. And then it comes to the 6-figure blueprint, the plan. And it's kind of this magical number, we almost talk too much about it sometimes, I feel, but it's still something that many of my clients and many of us in the world are aiming for, to kind of proof of concept. If you can make 6 figures in a business, you can probably do more. But if you're always under the 6 figures and it doesn't move forward, you kind of feel stuck, especially if you've been in business for several years. So it's getting those people as fast as possible. I was able to go to 6 figures in 12 months. And I kind of use that story because I did all kinds of things, and it was not necessarily so structured because I didn't have a business coach. I wasn't in a mastermind group. And if there's anything I would have changed about that path myself, not that I would have necessarily been faster at achieving a 6-figure, but I would have been less frustrated and lost in the whole process. And I would have had like a step-by-step plan. And that's what I provide my clients with. I start with a program called Your Best Year Yet, which is also inside those groups. And that's when you see in 3 hours, you can map out basically your vision, your strategy, your tagline, your products and pricing, and you end up with kind of a ready plan for the year. And then it comes into the 6-figure blueprint, the action steps, what you're going to do next. A lot of people start with very low-level products, for instance. I was just recently talking to someone who was thinking of joining the mastermind groups, and she said she had been very busy creating all her ebooks. And I said, you're not going to make 6 figures from ebooks. Well, highly unlikely, unless you have loads of people buying your ebooks. I always suggest you start with a higher end program. And then you can start to think about your ebooks later on. So that's a part of my 6-figure plan, is to have the diversified products, to have a lower priced product, medium priced, high priced. And then if you're really in the start of your business, start with a higher end first, and then you fill in the gaps later.
Gotcha. So let's recap that for the audience, because I know, right, what we like to say that we do is that we help them in their walk on water to their success. So we give water to the thirsty, and this is water. This is heavy water. This is a big bucket of water that you just gave them. Those 3 things that they need. They need three tiers of prices, something that's a high price, a medium price, and a low price. Can you define exactly what high price, medium price, and low price mean? Because that could vary from person to person.
This can vary from business to business. I was fascinated by a talk that I listened to 1.5 years back, which kind of explains it. There was a guy who had 3 businesses, and every business, it didn't matter what it was. I think one business was information on financial stocks, and I don't remember what the other 2 businesses did, but they were mostly in service-based area. And all of the businesses started with a $7 product, and all of them ended with a $10,000 product. So he had more than just 3. When I say low price, medium price, high price, it doesn't mean you can just have 3 products, but I'm talking about the range. So he had a range of lower price product, a range of a medium, and range of higher. He said, you move your client along. It's the customer journey. They start testing you out with a low price product. In my case, it's 47 and not 7. And in my case, my highest priced offering is a VIP mastermind for 12 months that's going to cost next time $20,000. So the range can vary depending on your business, but that's kind of like you're talking about in a service-based business. Anything from $7 to 10 or 20K.
Gotcha. So does this online business model, does it work for both products and services, would you say?
Yes, it does. We tend to have more service-based, businesses that we hear about successfully. I have several product-based clients that are, for instance, selling on Amazon, and they can use many of the methods that also apply for online service-based businesses. When you have a product, it's a little bit more challenging to have these freebies, but there is still a way to kind of give your client something before they, decide to buy your product. And when they have bought a product, it's always easier to kind of sell them complementary products and develop your product portfolio. So that's where it deviates a little bit from the service-based businesses, that you don't have like lots of freebies. But the price ranges and the level of like how you move the client up. Once I had a woman, she had essential oils, or I think actually natural skincare. And she said to me, oh, I don't have this customer journey. People just buy whatever they want to buy from my website. I said, nah, what is the first product they buy? And it turned out it was a particular cream that everyone bought the first, and then she was able to sell them other creams. So it does apply in the same way to a product-based business.
Gotcha. So you talked about masterminds, and we hear that a lot in the entrepreneur community, these masterminds, and a lot of people think that it's just a phone call. So help us understand exactly what a mastermind is and how that can help you in your business.
So Napoleon Hill was the one that coined the term mastermind, talking about if you get a group of people together, normally I would say minimum 4, optimally 6 or 8, and even more together, then it's kind of this, there's a higher mind that comes together. It's like the group can achieve more than the individual person. And what I've found out by running now masterminds for over 18 months, and I had been doing one-on-one before that for 18 months, somehow people achieve more, even if it's less one-on-one time with the coach they're working with. So through the group, through the motivation, inspiration, the example the other members are setting, you're more motivated to take action and accountability. So let me try to explain how this works. I think each facilitator of a mastermind attracts a certain type of people. So they will then come together and be together in a group, often based on time zone or the level. Like I have 3 levels of masterminds. And there is a call, maybe once a week or every other week or once a month, depending on the group. And on the call, you bring forward whatever is your challenge. Now, in my mastermind groups, I have a structured approach. So we will have themes. So in the first few calls, when you start a mastermind group with me, we're talking about vision, strategy, budgeting, to make sure everyone has a plan. We don't want to start working on your business without having a plan. Then we move into sales funnels and launches and other topics. But typically, you come to the call and you want something resolved. And the longer you run the program, it becomes more like a family. It's your business family. It's the one you turn to first when things go wrong. It's also the one you turn to first when you had a great success. Maybe you closed a new project, a new client, and you really want to kind of cheer and celebrate with someone. And your business family, the mastermind group, is the one that most understand. So every call has you get homework with every call, and then you get access, in my case, to a membership site where you have access to all the content we cover. And then the Facebook group that's where it's a wonderful action between our calls, where people are helping each other, sharing each other's success, and also just generally working on things. I have a new landing page, I have a new freebie. Oh, my Facebook ad is not working. Can anyone check out why it's not working? So they kind of help each other move forward. So explaining a mastermind, it's kind of like, what's a family? It's kind of sometimes difficult to explain it. And that's why I prefer to have my clients explain it than me, because they are really living through it.
I got you. So when you're building a 6-figure online program, tell us about what those elements entail. How do you create that program? What are the must-haves when you're building this 6-figure online program?
It comes back to having a diversified product portfolio. Last Friday, I had a mastermind day. So I had 7 women at my home here outside Zurich, and we were working on their business. Now, it turned out one of them had, as he thought, a lot of different products, but none of the products were above $1,000. And I said to her, if you want to build a 6-figure business, you need to have products that are at least $1,000 and above. It's very hard to kind of build a sustainable business unless you want to kind of attract a huge scale. There are people who can live from being an author. They just need to sell thousands and thousands of books. And it's unlikely when you're starting out an entrepreneur, or even if you're in your first 2 years of business, that you can be able to do that. So you need to have higher priced products and mix them with your medium and lower priced and bring people up towards the higher end ones. So that's what I say, the diversified way, and solve one problem. Not have products that solve different problems, because then the client has difficulty moving from one thing to the next, because it's not solving the same problem. So you're assuming that the client will, they solved this problem, now they want to solve that problem. And it's not just how it works. Normally, coming back to that guy that I shared about before, who had 3 different businesses, all ranging with products from $7 to $10,000, he is solving one problem. So every product that he creates in a line of products, they solve the same problem. So I, for instance, focus on, hey, I am here to bring your business to the next level. Now, if you are just starting out, my goal is to probably help you get the first client, get clear on that, and the second, the third client. When you are making 6 figures, I'm helping you go to multiple 6 figures. It's still the same problem, different maybe ways to solve it, but it doesn't confuse your potential client. If you're selling natural skincare, I cannot have products that are not fitting into that product mix. I think that's where sometimes all entrepreneurs get lost if they're trying to do too many different things and solve too many different problems.
That makes a lot of sense. So what would you include in your marketing campaign when you're developing and you're launching this six-figure online company? What would you include in that marketing campaign? What are the essentials?
In the marketing campaign, I think we are doing marketing all the time. I think it's key to be seeding and being out there, visible, so people can find you and get to know you. There are so many wonderful tools you can do today, like Facebook Live, and especially Facebook Live, I would say one of those tools. We have Instagram stories. There's a way for you to share your journey. And I want to quote Gary Vaynerchuk on this. I was at a big event, he was speaking, and he said, when you're building a business, you are doing something that most people actually don't do. And if you just document the journey, it's so much inspiration for others to also go about and start their business. So even if your business is maybe not as successful as you would like to be, and he was especially referring to startups who are developing a product. So let's say your product will not be sold, it does, but documenting the journey has a lot of value. You can then publish a book, or you can create an online course just from you documenting your journey. So I think that what online entrepreneurs should be doing, whatever business they're in, they should document their journey. It's kind of publicly sharing what's going on. Of course, if things are not working out, maybe you wait a little bit until you figured how to fix those before you share them. But generally, just being out there and sharing and finding a marketing tool that works for you. I like Facebook Live, but I'm not on Facebook Live every day. I'm a huge fan of webinars. I do them almost every week. I really, really love them. I am also liking Instagram a lot, and that's why I use it. So use the tools that you like, and don't be worried if there are tools that are not using. Like, I'm not very active on YouTube. I may want to do that one day, but it's not like you have to obsess about everything you're not doing. Focus on what you enjoy and do it properly. Like, be then really noticeable on Instagram, or really do webinars with full, get a lot of people to join webinars.
Gotcha. So when you're doing these marketing campaigns and when you're using these tools, do you recommend that you saturate one particular tool in any particular way? Is like, for example, you mentioned Facebook Live. How often should you be posting? How long should the videos be? What type of content should they be putting in these videos?
I would definitely pick one platform that you like the most and where you think your ideal client is. There's no point being on a platform just because you like it and your ideal client is somewhere else. So I like Facebook. That's where my ideal client is. I spend time in groups, mainly my own groups by now. And then the best way for me to reach my clients is to be regularly posting on my Facebook page. Not always. I do Facebook Live more like a webinar today. So I might do actually just 2 Facebook Lives a month, but they are 50 or 60 minutes. So I'm doing it very differently from those that I see are kind of Facebook Live every day, and they do it for 7 to 10 minutes. That's also another method. It's just another method. I like to do the longer versions where I'm actually teaching something, and I want people to get value out of it. I can see that really kind of goes sky high, the views on that. I aim to post every day. I have some of it automated, but because I'm such a huge fan of Instagram, I've connected Instagram and Facebook page. So when I post a picture on my Instagram, it goes also to my Facebook page, and I got a lot of feedback on it. So my followers are on there and they are watching. You have to post at least 6 times, probably even more, to get some reach on Facebook. You have to boost some posts because Facebook is not showing it to your audience. And you kind of have to spend on ads to build your list through Facebook.
Gotcha. So you hear a lot of online coaches and consulting companies talk about how time consuming it is to be on these different social media platforms and being able to reach out on a daily basis or multiple times a day. Do you have any special tools that you use, like Hootsuite or anything of that sort, to be able to minimize the amount of time that it takes to be interactive on these social media platforms?
I use Meet Edgar to rotate some quotes and blog posts. I use Hootsuite mainly when I run a course. If I'm sending content into a Facebook group, then I use Hootsuite because then I can schedule times. Meet Edgar is more like this rotation tool. And then I do have Buffer also. So I use almost all the tools. I use Buffer because I like to read blog posts from an RSS reader. That reader is called Feedly. And then when I find an article that I like, that I've read, and I want to share it with my community, I can post it to Buffer, and Buffer takes care of posting it on social media for me.
Gotcha. So what is the first thing that you would recommend somebody that is brand new to the business, they want to start some type of an online coaching business? What is the first thing that they need to do to start to make that business happen?
Get your first client. That's a short and sweet answer, but I would say figure out who your ideal client is and then work on getting that first client. That first client typically does not come from the online world. It might be a friend or a friend of a friend. Yes, maybe they click a button on your website and buy from there. But I remember my first client was a person that had met me somewhere, or had seen me somewhere. It was not a total stranger. The second client had also seen me being active in some Facebook group. So yes, it's online business, but you gotta figure out who your ideal client is, and then you can actually potentially, very likely, I would say, acquire that first client, because proof of concept is so important. You could be going on for months or years and not having figured out who is the person willing to pay you for your solution. And the faster you figure this out, it's easier. As soon as you have had this first person pay you something, you're onto something. You look at like, okay, they signed up here. How can I get more of these signups? You even maybe use that. You ask the person, hey, you bought something from me. Are you willing to hop on a testimonial call with me? I do this with all my mastermind group participants today. I have interviewed all of them. I don't use all the interviews maybe on my sales page, but I interview all of them on a video. I get their feedback and I learn from it. So I can improve, for instance, my sales process or anything in the groups that could be improved. And that's what you should do. You land your first client, you figure out how you could have served that person better, and then goes on from there and there. And you can start to think about online courses and mastermind groups afterwards, but get that first client.
Perfect. So what tools do you use when you're doing these testimonials that some of our participants can actually duplicate?
Well, in terms of technical tools, I love using Zoom. But the tools I'm using is basically, it doesn't matter if you use Zoom or Skype or what the tool is. The key is that you have a picture and picture next to each other, which is less available on some other tools like webinar tools. And you want to have similar questions for all your participants. So I typically ask, what was your experience from the program? It's a pretty open-ended question, so I let them kind of talk. That's the first question asked. The second question is, please describe to the audience what you do. So I have them introduce yourself actually on the second question, not on the first question. This is to make sure that if you are scrolling through a sales page and you see a lot of videos, and if everyone starts to explain for 5 minutes what they do, you don't want to watch that. You want to know what their experience from the program was. So that's why that needs to be your first question. The second question is what they do. The third question, what were the 3 best things about the program? So you let them kind of repeat. So they might have shared it before when you asked the experience question, but this is more specific. The fourth question is, what is a measurable and tangible result you got from being in this program? And that's where you really want to hear, ideally, what have they made, in terms of more of a financial return on investment, because that's what everybody's thinking about when you sign up for an online course or program. Do I get my money back? And do I also get more back than just the money that I invest? And that's where I kind of ask that question. The final question is then, what would you say to someone who's thinking of joining this program? And that's where they answer that. So often they say, just do it. And I say, well, can you please explain why they should just do it? So these have been a great, both good for me to get feedback, but also just generally for my audience now, because I was not doing this before, is when they come to my sales page, it's full of videos with people who have gone through my programs and gotten results, and they're happy to share it. So that's a great way to get more clients. And that's what you should do. Even if you only had 1 client, interview them on video.
Perfect. What last minute words of wisdom do you have for anybody that wants to be able to duplicate your steps and follow your wisdom moving forward?
Over deliver. That's one word again, over deliver. I think the key reason that 50% of my mastermind clients, they come back and sign up for the next program, and repeat clients is the best testimonial anyone can get in any business. So make sure you over deliver to your clients, because that will make them talk about you, and it will make sure they stay with you. So they will then get into another program with you.
Thank you for that. That's actually very important. We always talk to our participants and our clients. We make sure that they're always over deliver. Make sure that you give more than what the people ask for, what they anticipate in the beginning. Make sure that you're coming to serve. That's so important. Now, here at Mini to Mogul, we like to make sure that our participants are actually very involved and that they're doing the homework, because you only absorb about 20 to 50% of what you're watching and listening to unless you actually get involved and do the homework. So what action item do you have for people that are watching this that they can take to the Facebook group and get more involved?
Well, I would say people should go, either put it in a text form or a picture, or even go on Facebook Live and share their key takeaways. You know, when you're teaching somebody else what you just learned, that's where you really learn it for yourself. So if you go to a seminar or whatever you do, and you kind of, if I go to a lecture like this guy I was telling about again and again in this interview, you know, he had these 3 businesses, every business starts with $7. I have been sharing it again and again, and that's why I remember I was, you know, there were a lot of talks at this conference. His talk is the only one that I still recite. So I think that's key when you're listening to a summit like this one. Repeat, and ideally on video or to someone else. It could be at home or in a mastermind group or wherever. I think if you write it down, that's also helpful, but just kind of repeat what you just heard, because then you also know for yourself what was most important key takeaways for yourself.
That's amazing, and I think that's an excellent action item. And you guys heard it here. Make sure you go to the Facebook group, Mini to Mogul. You guys are familiar with it, and make sure you post what your key takeaways were. Talk to other people and teach them what you learned from this online program. That way you can actually absorb it, you can use it, you can repeat it, and you can use it over and over and over again in your own online program. So I think that's very key. You have been absolutely fabulous, Ms. Sigrun. I appreciate you so much, and I know that everybody is going to love the information that you gave them, and they're going to take it to be able to create their own online programs. How can they find you if they want to find you in the future?
You go to sigrun.com, and you can join my Facebook group. You can also download a checklist. I have a webinar checklist. One of the reasons I was able to build my list very quickly and earn my 6 figures within 12 months is that I did regularly webinars. And I created a 60-point checklist, what you need to do when you run a webinar. So at sigrun.com/webinar checklist, you can find that. It's free.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ms. Sigrun, and thank you guys for watching and tuning in today. You have come to the Mini to Mogul Online Virtual Summit, and we will see you on the other side of Mogulness.
Thank you for having me.